here we go, down into turn 12. So let's remind ourselves what happened. Verstappen was on the inside, Norris on the outside, trying to make the move around the outside as they got into the apex. Crucially, there, at this point, as we can see, Verstappen is clearly in front. Now let's go on board and just have a look. This is a new angle. We didn't get to see Verstappen's on board last week, so this is a fresh angle we've got for this weekend. As they head down into the braking zone, look, Norris moves to the right. He's on the outside. Now, Verstappen is clearly at this stage, Norris has got his nose in front, but he's not fully in front of Verstappen. I think at this stage, Verstappen comes off the brake pressure a bit to make sure he's racing basically to that apex. He's trying to make sure he gets to that apex first. And the reason he's trying to do that is because he is acutely aware of the guidelines that the stewards use. Now, these guidelines have been created by the stewards and the race directors and the FIA basically in consultation with the GPDA and the drivers. And it says quite clearly that if the driver is overtaking around the outside, they need to have their front axle at least alongside the other car. So in this case, Norris needs to be fully alongside Verstappen. He wasn't, and therefore that wasn't applied. Nowhere does it say, because again, if I read that line, it says that the overtaking car must stay within track limits. Nowhere does it say that the car being overtaken, in this case Verstappen, must stay within track limits. So I think that is something that the drivers would like reviewed. Now this is different to if an overtaking move is done on the inside, where it quite clearly says that the car overtaking on the inside cannot force the other car off track. And this is what caught George Russell out. So I think this is where the scenarios are different. A lot of people have been looking at what happened to Russell and why he got penalized. But in his case, if we look at it, he went down the inside of the corner against Valtteri Bottas. And at this stage, as he comes out, it's quite clear Bottas doesn't have racing room. He's forced off the track. And that's why the stewards gave George Russell a penalty there. So these aren't regulations, these are guidelines, but it's very much what is used as we go on board with Bottas. You can see it's very much what is used by the stewards in order to try and work out what penalties. Now, in Norris's case, one thing that is also in the guidelines is if you go beyond the track limits, fully off track, and gain a lasting advantage, which he clearly did by gating a position up in front of Verstappen, then you will be penalized. And there quite clearly, he gained a lasting advantage by getting front. Now, one thing I would be interested to know is if Norris had stayed behind Verstappen at this stage and probably would have overtaken him in the next lap or two because he had so much more pace, could McLaren have then argued that he was forced off the track and maybe, forced a penalty there for Verstappen, avoided the penalty for Norris? I still believe a week on, they should have given up that place then and there. Everybody, as Verstappen just said, knows you cannot gain in a place by overtaking off the track, and therefore I think if he'd given up the place there, he wouldn't have been penalised and would probably have overtaken him in the next lap or two.